Hi guys, Jared here with Day Traders FX, and it's time for the daily video. We've got some great setups. As you can see, the markets have just closed literally minutes ago, about 8 minutes ago. The Dow has had a very interesting day today. It started off pretty negative, about 50 or 60 points down, ended up hitting about 90 points in the negative, went all the way back up to about 10 or 15 points in the negative, and here it is closing down 50 points overall. So pretty rough day. Never really saw daylight, never saw any positive numbers today, but it did look like it was going to recover. Just ultimately close decently bad there. S&P about 3 points down as well. Gold is been pretty flat today. And oil has really been kind of the benefactor of all of this movement. Oil's been holding decently well and ultimately ending the day in the positive. So pretty good stuff going on there. As far as news today, we have the CPI for New Zealand, so keep an eye on the New Zealand dollar if you trade that one much, and also we have some meeting minutes coming out of Australia, and so that's going to get some Aussie dollar movement going on, and so we'll see that happening. Coming into tonight, we have some big news. CPI for the UK. The German zoo, and this is a pretty big one to keep an eye on, especially right now. And then we have Bank of England news coming out, so that's going to get things moving a little bit. And then we have the core CPI out of the U.S. We have interest rates out of Canada just a half hour later, and then an hour after that we have Bernanke speaking. So count on tomorrow being a big day. Tonight and tomorrow is going to be a big one, so watch for that movement. Now, the euro dollar, I really want to focus my attention on the euro dollar, pound dollar, and euro yen today. I don't see anything too exciting happening on any of the other pairs. I think these are going to be our three most important. Let's start with the euro dollar here. If we look at the 1 hour chart here, you can see that the euro dollar has made two very solid attempts at double bottoming here and at breaking this level, but have been unable to get past about 121.65. So we have a nice double bottom there, which held very nicely. We made another attempt at a triple bottom and ended up with a higher low. So this is all kind of very bullish looking. This is strong support and then a higher low right here, and away this thing went this morning. And it ended up running very nicely into this line right here. And this is actually the upper channel of the trend wall. And if we look at the 4 hour chart, you can see that the euro has been really kind of coming down this channel very nicely for the last couple of weeks, and it has just started to bottom out like here, like just as we pointed out on the 1 hour chart, and it's run into the top of this channel. Now, as far as what the bottom of the channel is, you can say that it's right here where I've drawn the line, or you can say that it's a little bit further out. Doesn't matter too much either way. We're really more concerned with the top of the channel at this point, because we're looking for either a breakout or a bounce of this, and if it bounces, then we'll start to focus a little bit more on the bottom of this channel. But definitely we know that our major support here is about 121.65, and so that's going to be a big interesting level. But the other thing to look at is from this high right here, which is in the end of June 29th, June 30th, right in that general area, all the way to these current lows right here. If we draw some fib lines, we can see that the euro has run very nicely into this 23% fib, which also happens to be the trend wall. And you can see that it stopped the market very nicely right there with that kind of double force. Now, once again, this isn't just a random line. You can see that it coincides very nicely on this 4 hour chart. The market tested this several times before making a big run down, and here it is right back up to it again. So there's big stuff to be keeping an eye on, and this is right below about 12300. So here are the things that I'm looking at. You can see that the market had a hard time breaking this 122.90, which is this area right here. That's right where the 23% fib is. Made a nice attempt at it with lots of wicks, but never was able to open above it. And now the wicks themselves have just tested this as kind of the high, this 122.90. So what I would like to see is ultimately I'd like to see an open above this level to get me into this, because we're going to have this little situation back here that's going to kind of be lurking in the back of my mind. And so a break of this would be pretty nice. And we would probably be able to get in just on a typical breakout, but I think the safest bet is to get an actual 1 hour candle opening above this level and getting ourselves in as close to we can as the 120 at the 122.90 level. So anywhere between about 122.90 and 12300 should be a good area to take this on up into the 38% fib. Now remember, when markets break the 23% Fibonacci level, they have like a 90% chance of reaching the 38% fib level. So we have a very good chance of that. This is about 75 pips or so if we get a nice open above this, and we're going to go long like crazy and buy the heck out of this thing and see if we can get some nice pips into that upper area. So keep an eye on that. That's scenario one. Scenario two would be, you can kind of see this little trend line here, and you can see that the market is bounced at that big trend channel that we pointed out, and at that 23% fib. And if it can hold there and doesn't actually end up breaking out, then we may end up with a nice little sell opportunity. Now it's trying to work its way up here. It's having a heck of a time. You can see that we have some kind of short-term support and resistance right here. It kind of tested this area, and it's right back to that area, and that's about 122. We could call that about 122.70, 70 to 75, right in that general area. If we get a break below that, it may be headed lower, but I'm not totally ready to sell this one yet. I'm really looking for it to kind of dip and then push up through those highs. Because remember, this is a very, very strong move, and for this just to turn around and totally go the other way would be really strange. So I'm really looking more for an open above 122.90, which happens to be the 23% fib, and away we go. So good stuff going on there with the euro dollar, and just kind of keep an eye on that, mark those levels and be ready for it. Now the pound dollar, I'm not really ready to do anything with the pound dollar just yet. It's pretty choppy and it's pretty all over the place, and I'm not super in love with it at the moment. But we do have some very important levels to keep an eye on. If we get rid of our 1 and 200 day moving average right here, you can see that the pound dollar is nicely reacting to a couple of levels. Level number one is the 152.75, 15300 level. If we zoom that out a little bit, we can see that the market has tested this all the way back here in October of last year, and then it tested it again in about January of this year, and then again about June 1st. And then it kind of did the same thing that the euro dollar did. It was coming down for another attempt here a couple of days ago, and we ended up with a higher low, which is this guy right here, and it started to turn, and it's starting to break this descending trend line right here. So as it's breaking that descending trend line, if we look at that, the fib from this high back here about the end of April, beginning of May, and the low all the way right here at the beginning of June, then what we can see is that this nice little trend line that's breaking is taking us right into the 38% fib, which is at about 156.60, and then anything beyond that's going to put us into some key resistance and another fib level, which is the 50% fib, which is about 157.85. So keep an eye on those. We've got some good stuff happening. What I would like to see, probably generally speaking right now, a little bit of retracement, come back and kind of test this trend line, test some of these areas here about the 15600, 155.80, and then go long from there. But I'm not really loving the pound dollar, just kind of where it sits. So we'll be waiting for a few things to happen there. And then if we go real quick here to the euro yen, we can see a couple of things happening. Number one being that it's got a very nice channel, very similar to that of the euro dollar, where it's been running down and it's triple bottomed on us. Now we had a little bit of a break of that bottom here at 96.45. It dipped below on the 1 hour chart, and then it pushed right back up above, but you can see on the 4 hour chart it never opened below that level. So it did the same thing that these other two attempts did, which is just kind of double bottom. This one pushed just a little bit lower. So we have a pretty solid triple bottom right here. And as this euro yen starts to break out of this channel, we should have a very nice run up into this 23% fib, which once again goes from the high here to the low there, and this high is right back there about June, end of June, into these current lows. And so if we get a break of this channel, I'm definitely looking to take this thing up into that 23% fib, which is about 80 to 90 pips. So keep an eye on that, and let's look at this and see where this thing goes. But I'm looking for a break there. So if we get down here to the 1 hour chart, what we can see a little bit more of is we've had this little short-term break, and it's trying to kind of do something. I'd love to see it break through this general area and get us kind of, possibly an entry just around 96. 90, 9700, and make an attempt at taking this pair back up into that 23% fib, which once again is about 97.50, 60 area. Now, as always, we've got to be prepared for anything here, and so option B would be watch this area. You know, we've bottomed out very nicely here, but watch this and see if we can get a break back down. If this doesn't clear that daily pivot and kind of this general area here, which is about 96.85, then we might see this thing running back down. But at this point, it doesn't look super duper likely. I think we're going to be okay with getting, you know, a 1 hour candle opening above 98. Or excuse me, 96.85, 90 area, and taking it up from there. So those are kind of the options we're going to be looking for the moment. Of course, tweet any questions over, type them into the chat, anything like that. I'll be here and happy to help. And a quick look at this Aussie dollar. We know we have Aussie news coming out, but it's been running up this channel nicely, broke out of the channel, is back in the channel, and so we could be headed for the top of that channel. But we're going to have a heck of a time at the 10300 area, which has stopped the market a couple of times before. So keep that in mind. Gold, once again, is moving around, and keep an eye on 1585. That'll be crucial. But all the action should probably happen on the euro dollar and euro yen over the next several hours, and that's what we're going to keep our eyes on. So best of luck, guys. We'll see you in the chat.